Good morning, good evening, good night, wherever you are in the world, and welcome to another session of the Living World of Dark. It's New York by Night in the Camarilla venue. Tonight, we find ourselves just inside, Spanish Harlem, Barrio, and it's like a shack of a warehouse. It's like a little storage area that somebody's used that Limey knows to be vacant at this moment in time. This is where he's taken Ghost to stake her, somewhere out of the way, somewhere there's no cameras, there's no police, somewhere they can have a chat as well before they go through with the action, before packing her up and sending her off the Tremere. And inside this dingy little shack with no light bulbs, cobwebs all over it, a tin roof that rusts and drips onto a concrete floor, this is where we should begin our scene.
Ghost has been on the phone with her ghoul for some time, and she tries to take the conversation a little bit away, but basically she's giving her orders of what to do in the next couple of days with the club and with her apartment. She's not going to tell Helena what exactly is going on, because the ghoul will freak out and try and kill people and then will die. So she's just going to say that she has to go away out of town for a few days and that she'll be back, but just to hold things together while she's going on, write some blue booking about that particular instruction. And Ghost comes off the phone and she sort of stands there and she's not really saying anything for a while.
Limey appears to be rolling a reefer just out of like a bag that he puts in his pocket. I'm sorry I lost my temper. I shouldn't have shouted at you. You're being brave, you're doing something good, and back there, I'll punish you for it. Tense right now.
You can understand that if maybe people in this city liked me in the first place, trusted me in the first place, I might have gone with it more easily, but the way it looks to me in my own paranoid little mind is that it would be a really easy way to get rid of somebody you thought was a problem. Because you and I know I'm not so bad.
No. Oh, we're coming to you, Jason. We're going to Limey will arrange to have Ghost brought over. Look, right, I understand. Right, because I didn't want to do it. You know, out of our interactions with the Tremere, don't get me wrong, Victor has been an incredibly useful member of this court for a long time. One of the people that helped build it back up. But lately, have we reason to trust each other? Probably not. But I do trust them. Don't get me wrong, the fact that I just made one of them happy, well, you know, that's a little, that's going to be interesting down the line to see exactly how that plays out. But it's good for us now. Right now, we can't afford to be paranoid with each other. No more paranoid than we usually are, at least. We're at war. And I'm pretty sure if we're going to start making moves against each other, while now would be the perfect time, it would be the stupidest time. Especially seeing as if you go missing in the Tremere's hands, then pretty fucking obvious where you've gone. Besides, Victor puts up this very professional face. The Tremere ain't like us. Probably logical. We're of passion, visceral, fire. They're calculating, they're ice. And we can be calculating too, but with the Tremere, their demeanours make it seem a little more natural. That's why it's so hard to trust them. But when I was in that hotel room, before I staked myself, I saw nothing but sadness. And I won't elaborate because I know nobody will appreciate that, but this isn't something, I don't think this is something that Victor's enjoying. Or Alec for that matter, but he seems like a nice little bloke actually. For a Tremere.
You see, Ghost momentarily. You see a momentary look of disappointment across her faces when you mention that you've made one of the Tremere harpy, and it slowly fades into sadness. And as she thinks about how each of the members of her old family have all been tamed and crushed and destroyed, how Mort was sent back to the Venture to become their puppet. And Ghost herself has never had any qualms with doing the right thing, with the status quo as it is, and the masquerade, but she has trouble with bureaucracy, with the ties that bind. And that's something that will never change. She looks kind of like a dog that's about to be collared and put in a cage. Her head's low.
I'm sorry, alright? You know I wish I could turn around and fuck off. But the saddest thing about all this is they've got a point. It was all too easy.
Let's just get on with it.
Not groovy.
Before, just one last thing. And she reaches up and unties the infinity chain from around her neck. It looks tatty and worn. The metals are old, faded. She takes it off and hands it towards Limey. I don't want them to touch this.
They won't. Drops it down his shirt. He looks at you. For safekeeping, you understand. Alright. Let's do this then. From the pocket of his usual kind of like the leather, the sort of leather fur collared jacket that he wears, he pulls out a steak. And do you remember the one I used to have in the LARP that was like all knobbled and sort of kind of funky looking? Yeah. It's like that. It's quite elegant looking steak. It's like something that's been whittled. Now, do you want to do this, or do you want me to do it for you?
She looks like me in the eye and just says, "Do it," before I change my mind.
and just in the very, very corner of his eye, just a small tear of blood, just a tiny, tiny, just, and he wipes it away with his finger. No harm will come to you, Ghost. If it does, then shit ain't gonna go down so well. And the Tremere know that. No harm will come to you. You have my word.
Just do it.
He lunges forward and he's burned a point of celerity. It happens so fast. It's Ghost is staked before she has a moment to be before she even realizes it's happening. And as her body goes rigid with what I assume to be clenched fists and a gritted jaw, Limey's hand will come onto her back instantly as he lowers her to the floor. He reaches into her pocket and pulls her phone out, and he scrolls through the music, remembering what Victor did for him when he was staked. And Ghost and Limey hang out a lot. Would Limey know any of her favourite music?
Oddly enough, for her appearance, she does tend to like 60s and 70s folk and rock.
Okay. He puts on some late 60s bluegrass kind of stuff, that kind of rhythm and bluesy kind of folk. And he takes the earbuds and puts them in her ears. No. Okay. Good. He lifts up this he sort of lifts Ghost and puts it in the back van. At which point his retainer, because this will be set after the meeting has concluded and his ghoul will be available. Ivan, who's sat in the front, fires up the engine, and Limey climbs into the back next to Ghost. You'll notice this is a closed van. It doesn't have any windows. Ghost can't see where she's going. But as they go, he sort of just rumbles along the back of the van in silence. But just every so often he'll muse to her. When you get out, we're going to have work to do. Not that it's going to be good work, but, well, that's the sort of thing you and I specialise in, I suppose. The sheriff and the hound. We do all the shit nobody else wants to do. The first kindred I met in this city, Ghost. First one that I liked. I'll be damned if you're going to be going out so quick. I'm going to need you. I'm going to need you. And at this point, Limey will will give Victor a text. Actually, he won't. Victor's not given him his number again. So he will text Alec. Just saying the word is go. Where? Jason?
Yep. We will tell Limey to bring her to the same hotel, same room that we met him at before. There is symbolism involved in this. And even though they are the Tremere, they are still vampires, theatrical creatures of habit.
Okay. Limey is now slightly stumped because he doesn't know how he's going to get a staked body into a hotel room. And he looks down at Ghost. For fuck's sake. They asked me to stake you and bring you. Well, I'm not going to roll you up in a carpet and say it's a fucking delivery. He pulls out the stake.
There's a momentary sort of fluidity, and then Ghost sits up very suddenly. Her fists are still clenched, and she jabs out, but not at the air. At the air, not you.
Okay. Limey kind of shifts himself as she punches out. Yeah, he did say he wanted you staked, but looks like we're going to have to walk into a hotel.
Are you fucking serious?
Look, alright, look. Let's try not to work ourselves up about this. I'm sorry, alright? I'm sorry. It shouldn't be this difficult. And as the van pulls to a stop, he opens the back door. Come on in. Let's get this over with.
She jumps out.
He walks into the hotel and he nods at the receptionist and sort of gestures and sort of like gestures like sort of to Ghost towards towards an elevator, which he will climb into. At which point they go up to I've forgotten the third floor. Third floor, fine, I suppose. Yeah. And Limey leads her along a very standard hotel hallway until they reach a door. He knocks.
The door will open slowly. Alec will look out, nod, open the door completely, turn to gesture towards the hotel room. Please come in. Thank you for coming.
I'm Mr. Costellanos. He'll step in and walk into the room proper and turn around to look at Ghost. Make sure she's still there.
Ghost steps into the room. She's got her shirt's got a sizable hole in it, one would imagine.
Alec will close the door quietly. He will not lock it, and he will follow Ghost, standing a few feet behind her, hands behind his back, nothing in them that you can see, because there's nothing in them.
I know you had requested to bring them along stakes, but as I pointed out to Ghost, I couldn't exactly roll them up in a rug and say it was a delivery.
You'll see Victor sitting at the table with his sword cane out, and you can see the green burning flames from the sword as he hears you say this. That was not what that you said you were going to do, Sheriff.
Yeah, well, if you'd have made it a bit easier, then I'd have done it, Victor. Please put that sword away.
Stake her.
Will be. Please put your sword away, Victor.
No, this is protection. We asked for her to be staked, Sheriff. She arrives here not staked.
Victor, frankly, if you'd have used a little bit of forethought and not made me drag a body into a hotel room staked, don't you care about the masquerade?
There are ways to carry in a body.
Yes, I know there are ways to carrying a body. I'm a career criminal. I didn't want to do it in the middle of a hotel room where this sort of business was being carried out. I think compromise needs to be made on both parts tonight. And
More compromises from our side.
well, more compromises from ours, really. Bearing in mind, somebody who didn't want to be experimented on by the Tremere is here in good faith.
Interesting choice of words.
Victor, please, can we just... I'm really sorry. 2 seconds.
As Victor just looks at Alec. And then just lets out a sigh.
Alec is still standing behind Ghost. He's not saying anything. He is probably a hand's breadth out of reach, or of what he estimates to be Ghost's reach.
Sorry about that, guys.
No problem.
Ghost is standing especially still, but she has her arms down at her sides. You can see the glint of several adorned rings on her fingers, which you'd imagine that if she hit you with them would make a pretty pattern in your face.
Okay. Everyone. Seeing as I've been given the all clear by the Prince, I do have a say in this too. As the Sheriff, I'm sure you understand. There was no offence meant by bringing Ghost here, please. There was no offence meant by bringing Ghost here unstaked. I suppose I thought that not only would it be inappropriate to try and smuggle a body in when there was no need, but also perhaps you'd misphrased yourself, perhaps, seeing as I was staked here. Apologies for any inconvenience this may have caused you.
We'll accept
But I can assure you,
one.
You will accept nothing. This has caused no inconvenience to you. I've already paid off a trivial boon with a rather significant investment of making your clanmate a harpy. We've come here under good faith. This doesn't need to be more difficult than we're making it.
I am waiting, Sheriff.
Victor, please, will you just try to talk to me like a human being?
When you act and treat me like a human being,
I'm trying, Victor. That's what I'm trying.
and stake your hound. Is that really too much to ask? After we have returned you back unharmed, unscathed, and we have asked many times, and your hound refuses time and time again. And now you arrive here, under our good faith, with her unstaked. Imagine how that feels, or how that comes across for us.
I understand you might find that offensive. Perhaps, in future, some slightly better communication on our part. I will accept that I could have phoned and asked if you wanted them staked. However, I assumed, and I know assumption is the mother of all fuck-ups, that you wouldn't want me to bring what is essentially a dead body with a bit of wood in its chest into what I can only assume to be a structure that you have investments in. I did it under similar good faith. It wasn't meant as an insult, it wasn't meant as a slight.
You see Ghost's eyes rolling towards the ceiling in growing impatience.
Alright, let's get the shot on the road. You ready, Ghost?
She gives you a wide-eyed nod, but you can see that her attention is quite firmly on the sword, as it would be if there's a... She's aware what those sorts of weapons can do, having had a dagger of that ilk before.
Yeah. He glances at the sword and back at Ghost. He pulls out his phone and presses a record button. The record. If anything comes back suspicious looking, under further examination of the person known as Ghost, they are to be delivered to the Prince or the Cemetery. This is direct order. He pulls out a stake, and once again, with the speed of celerity and the added strength of potence, he plunges the stake with quite considerable resistance because Ghost is, well, quite tough, into Ghost's heart and lowers her once against the floor.
And when that happens, Victor gets up, takes the other hand of his sword cane, and puts his sword in there. Click.
Thank you.
He'll motion to Alec to put on the blindfold, and also to the recording, or not the recording device, but a Discman or something, or an iPod. He doesn't say anything.
If you've got bluegrass or like rock or punk inspired 60s or 70s stuff, then that would be groovy.
He raises an eyebrow but doesn't say anything as he waits for Alec to put on the blindfold and such. I can't hear anything if you're saying something, by the way.
Lisa? Okay, I think they're muted on purpose.
I'm not saying anything because I'm staked.
And it seems that our dear other Tremere is not able to say anything. Or choosing not to. No, we don't hear anything, sir.
I know we had a 5-minute warning about 10 minutes ago.
Right. Then Victor will help Mr. Castellanos put on the blindfold. And what?
As you go to sort of put on this body bag and the blindfold and stuff, will you allow me?
He just looks at you but doesn't say anything.
Then he takes the prerogative and he puts on the blindfold and the headphones, finds some music.
And as soon as that is done, and Victor checks that the music is on full volume, he continues to speak. Glad that this has been settled with, Sheriff.
This is my alright. Squabbling between our clans, while justified in several cases, really has to come to an end, Victor. And I understand that we have our part to play in that as well.
Limey, yourself and I, we have made headway to try and resolve matters. Your hound, however, time and time again has thwarted these efforts, which is regrettable.
But tonight it was as much me as her.
I wish I could see that the same way as you do.
Ghost is rough around the edges, alright? She's a yank through and through, especially when it comes to Brujah. But personal feelings aside, and I can appreciate them, man. I'm of the clan of passion. That's what we do. I think it would be real groovy if we could, at least for the rest of this war, try and get along. Stubborn, you're stubborn.
There
She's
is no
certainly stubborn.
quarrel between us. There is no quarrel between the Tremere and Rose. There is even no quarrel between the Tremere and Mr. Bishop. Your clan as a whole we have no problem with.
But you do have a problem with Ghost.
Your words, not mine.
Hey, I can dig it, my brother, I can dig it. We can't help who we get on and don't get on with, let's face it. You two are like chalk and cheese. Some rabid British drug dealer and hell, whatever you were before you were Tremere. You're different people. You ain't always going to get on. Ghosts will be dealt with appropriately for failing to turn up when requested. But I'd request, humbly, any problem you have to interview should be kept to private rooms of this court. Now, us old timers, we need to at least put on a show of all working together and getting on.
With any working member of the Camarilla, we will.
I'm glad we're working together again as a coterie. And I'm glad that you and I, to some greater or less degree, have put our issues to some kind of rest. I just wanted to carry on that way, indeed. I know I've got too many problems to be worrying about arguing with people from my sex, and I know you have too. I'm sure Ghost has. What is, aside from this recent revelation where she hasn't turned up when requested, what exactly is the problem? Right? If we talk about it, we might be able to solve it.
I am not at liberty to discuss that.
Fine. Fine. But we can forgive and forget, Victor, when it's easiest. Sometimes it's best for us to do so. And I'm not saying that you should, I'm just saying it's not unheard of.
I will believe that we have a body to transport, Sheriff.
Groovy. We do. Remember what I said, if anything does come back untoward, then she gets seen by the Prince and the Seneschal first. You dig? And that's on record.
The Tremere do not act without the Prince's consent.
But I'm saying very specifically, she gets brought before them.
Only if the Prince's decree says that is so.
Well, if they follow my order, they follow my order, but right now I'm Sheriff. Highest rank in the room. You appreciate the sect, I know you do.
And I have my marching orders from the Prince.
Well, I'll be sure to check on those marching orders to make sure there's a clause where it says specifically she's not to be brought in front of them. I hope you understand.
I never said such things, Sheriff. You are
I know.
assuming now.
I know you didn't. There was a tiny implication.
No, the implication was that I, in this matter, do not refer to your authority, but the Prince's.
And if the Prince has an issue with the authority I've exerted, then I'm sure both he and you will let me know. However,
But you know nothing. It's not my place.
well, Victor, I don't like to dick wave with my position, but I'm telling you, I have this recorded, this particular thing that I've requested of you as the sheriff of this city, to make sure that Ghost is seen by both the Seneschal and the Prince. When the Prince and the Seneschal tell me that is not to be the case, then I'll take it completely as gospel. But until then, that's a very direct order. You dig?
He raises an eyebrow.
I'll be sure to check in. And once again, you know that it's not I don't trust you. It's just it's our law. Till the Prince calls. But I appreciate the position you're in. Don't think I don't. You want me to let you carry this body?
We'll do it ourselves, don't worry.
Groovy. She's heavier than she looks. He kneels down and just takes an earbud off and just leans close to Ghost. Everything's going to be alright. We can trust him. Before he puts it back on. See you on the other side, Ghost. Be gentle, she's sensitive deep down. Oh. And the information discussed the other night, I have some more specifics. I'll run it to the appropriate people. He turns and leaves the room.
Victor nods. Waits until Limey is fully out the room, nods to Alec to close the door. He gets out I believe we used a hockey bag or
Yeah,
something last
yeah.
time, and quite roughly just puts her in there. He's not being gentle at all. He's just making sure that the steak doesn't accidentally fall out or anything. As he just
It's in there.
come again.
It's in there pretty deep. Sorry, I interrupted.
He'll probably just put the boot of his heel or the heel of his boot on there just to make sure that it's in there nice and tight. And yeah, without further ado, he'll have her put in the body. He'll change the music to something else because he is not really enjoying the type of music that they're listening to right now. And with that, I believe we can end this particular scene with Victor, well, being Victor.
Yeah, as soon as Victor looks down at Ghost with a look of distaste upon his lips and places the heel of his boot upon the stake, we shall fade the scene to black. Sleep well. Good night.